Hello there, Angry Welshman back again. Now, at this present moment, Nathan Oakley's having another arguably train wreck of a debate with a normal person, with the rest of his flat earth buddies. And that's the thing why I don't like his debates, is that everyone chimes in, everyone tries to embarrass the other guy in the chat room by all just fucking jumping on him essentially, and all, calling how much of an idiot he is and blah blah blah. What I find quite funny about those, nobody cares. Nathan doesn't seem to care most of the time when somebody butts in on the normal guy, but when the normal guy butts in on the flat earther, oh my god, Nathan then starts to be the actual moderator. This one wasn't too bad when I started watching, but then it started to get a little heated near the end of the interval that he was doing. Now, the argument there was perspective. Now, because apparently he says the globe earthers don't take into consideration perspective, which I think we do. And he says, oh, but why don't they calculate perspective? The thing is, you can't really add perspective into a calculation, because our concept of perspective is basically due to our based on the object's distance and size, if you know what I mean. Depending on the size of an object is much bigger in the background than the object in the foreground, sometimes the object can look the same size, right? Or if they're the same size, the object in the background can look much smaller, but in terms of its proportions, it'll be the same. Take this picture I got here, right? Just type in perspective on Google, don't judge me. Okay. If the Earth was a flat plane, right? So you take these lines, the object would just appear smaller. So if this building were then much further away, you should be able to see the bottom black line that has the door, especially if you zoom in with a camera. Okay? If you with me so far, right? That's the kind of concept here. So if there was the same building down here, you should still be able to see the bottom. Doesn't matter how far away it goes. Until the point, due to our eyesight, the colours get a bit smudged together. You might not see the lines, but then if you use your camera and zoom in, then you'll be able to see the separate lines again. But that never happens in reality. In reality, an object seems to disappear bottom first, which perspective doesn't do that. Perspective simply makes things smaller in the distance, not things disappear bottom first. Let's go for Mount Conague again, right? Everyone said, right, if this was truly perspective, where's the rest of this? If you can't hear, if this was truly perspective and things would just get smaller, you'd still see all of this. You'd have to. Especially when you're considering this is the line. This is the very top edge that you're seeing here. So where's the rest of this? Where is it? Where's all this? So basically you're telling me that somehow in perspective, taking into consideration all of this, see if I can match this up somewhere now. 1 second. I think it's probably one of these. Yeah. But then, where's all this land? In this image. Where is it? You should still be able to see all this thanks to perspective. You see? So somehow, and this is another kind of aspect of it, somehow the sun, which is supposed to be you know, by flat Earth logic, by many of them, not all, but by many, is 3,000 to 4,000 miles high. And they say, thanks to trigonometry, they undoubtedly say that it's 3,000 to 4,000 miles high. So somehow, thanks to our perspective, even though that the sun did not change size from horizon to horizon throughout the day, if you have a solar filter, you'll be able to know that. How are we seeing them at the same height on the horizon? And as you know, as it clearly goes, let's go back to this image, it's even further. So somehow this sun has not got smaller throughout the day, like many flat earthers claim that the reason why the sun appears to set below the horizon is purely due to perspective. This sun would disappear into a small size before it gets anywhere near the horizon if that was the case. It's odd how that never happens to the stars, isn't it? Or the moon, for that matter. The moon stays the same size from horizon to horizon. That's not possible if the Earth was if the Earth was flat, and that's how it all worked. It's, you know, like this image. Again, this is supposed to be 3,000 to 4,000 miles high on their flat Earth terms, okay? But somehow is lower than the highest part of these skyscrapers in the distance here. I really don't think that's possible. If the Earth was flat and the sun rotated on a plane at the top end, on its own sort of plane axis, and the Earth was flat. Like, where are the rest of the skyscrapers here? These skyscrapers should just appear smaller. You know, these are the buildings, or one of them I think is the heights of these three buildings. There's three buildings here, right? There's four in this picture. I think he's talking about, I think one of them is just plainly missing in this picture. But like he said, calculating the height and the scale and using the same proportions as the top, here's where the bottoms of the building should be. So basically what's going on here is clearly not perspective. It's like something's blocking it. I wonder what it could be. It can't be the curve, no. Can't be. I like the fact that when, you know, also Nathan Oakley says in the thing, all of their errors on Earth curve calculators. No, it's mostly flat earthers that take the Earth curve calculators too seriously. They're the ones that keep on using the 8-inch per mile squared argument, which no one in reality uses that. And even the people who do know for a fact that it's only ever used for a very short distance as a rough approximation. The 8-inch per mile square gets increasingly inaccurate the further distances you go. That's why no one uses it. So yeah, that was just a small, simple thing. By the way, Nathan, I haven't said I debunked you or anything in this. This is my concept of perspective. You know, that's just my concept of perspective and everything. I didn't debunk you or anything, okay? Like when you came on, chatted on my last video where all of your fan base just came rushing over. In that video, I didn't do any debunking. That was purely my opinions on the way you handle yourself and the way you talk on your Hangout. So no, there was no debunking there. You were just trying to be clever. But I think if you want a far more in-depth analysis on what perspective is, I think Slice Barcane has just gone and done his own video. I'll leave that down in the description if you want to go and see that, because I think most of my fan base followers are obviously probably already followers of him anyway, so but I'll probably put a link down there. So yeah, that's my sort of thing on perspective. So there we have a nice day. I hope you enjoying yourselves. As a Welshman, it was horrifying to see England completely thrash Panama 6-1. But never mind. Oh well, so have a nice evening, have a nice day I should say. Sorry, I'm used to doing these videos in the night, so have a nice afternoon, and I'll see you all again soon.